We'll cover how glyphosate affects human health and the environment. I'm Dr. Jinmee Graham, and I'm a holistic naturopathic doctor. And in the last video, we covered what glyphosate is and its widespread use and impact, including the common places that glyphosate is commonly found. In this video, we'll cover how glyphosate affects human health and the environment. Now, starting with the environment, glyphosate poses a concern to overall soil health, soil fertility, which impacts overall plant health. As we touched upon in the last video, the creation of these super weeds that are resistant to glyphosate are also a concern because they tend to crowd out more of the crops that we do want in our farms, and they're pretty hard to get rid of and manage, requiring more chemicals, more Roundup, more glyphosate products, and more stronger herbicides to get rid of them. Because glyphosate is airborne, we also see a problem with it contaminating crops and farms further than the original location that they were used. Now, of course, this leads to problems on those smaller farms, even if they're trying to grow organic, and we see a lot of cross-contamination, and some smaller farms can be really greatly impacted by the way glyphosate kills pretty much anything it comes into contact with. Now, glyphosate is also water-soluble, and we found it harming our fish and other aquatic life and ecosystems, and it's also been found in our drinking water as well, which has an impact on our health. Because glyphosate can remain in the soil for extended periods of time, this affects the microbial communities in the soil and the plants that rely on them. So how does glyphosate impact our health? Glyphosate specifically works by disrupting something called the shikimate pathway, and when this happens in plants, it essentially kills them. The shikimate pathway produces the amino acids tryptophan, tyrosine, and phenylalanine, and these are used to make proteins, vitamins, hormones, and neurotransmitters. Now, companies such as Monsanto and others have said, well, human cells do not contain the shikimate pathway, only plants do. Therefore, this makes glyphosate and Roundup a very effective herbicide, posing no risk to human health at all. Here's the catch. While our human cells do not contain the shikimate pathway, our gut microbes do, and we rely on food sources, but also our gut microbes to make these essential amino acids for us. Also, because glyphosate pretty much kills anything that contains the shikimate pathway, this includes much of our gut microbiome, and we rely on those gut microbes to provide nutrients, aid in digestion, maintain a strong and healthy gut barrier, as well as a strong immune system. Now, as an example, one of the amino acids made by the shikimate pathway by our gut microbes is tryptophan. And tryptophan is a precursor to making serotonin, the happy hormone. So when we have a tryptophan deficiency in these glyphosate-exposed foods, as well as an impaired ability for our gut microbes to make tryptophan and therefore serotonin, this leads to lower serotonin in the body, which affects our mood and leads to different mood disorders, including depression, anxiety, and aggression. Glyphosate is also a chelator, disrupting the plant's uptake of essential minerals from the soil, such as zinc, copper, manganese, magnesium, cobalt, and iron. And this leads to nutritional deficiencies in the plant, and therefore in us as humans as we consume these now nutrient deficient foods. The International Agency for the Research of Cancer, the IARC, also named glyphosate a probable carcinogen to humans. Now, there was a big lawsuit on this in 2014 or 2015 when Dwayne Johnson, who was a groundskeeper at a school, commonly used Roundup as part of his duties. And when he developed non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at only the age of 42, he sued Monsanto for covering up the known health effects of glyphosate and was awarded millions of dollars. Now, while there is some debate about whether glyphosate can truly contribute to cancer and its true concerns here, we don't want to ignore this correlation, and we need to look into this further. As an endocrine disruptor, glyphosate also affects reproductive health and development. This is particularly concerning during pregnancy and can potentially lead to birth defects in the fetus and affect and impair their development. Now, because of its impact on gut health, there may be a connection between glyphosate exposure and gluten sensitivity, including celiac disease. This could be due to how glyphosate disrupts the integrity of the gut barrier, making it more permeable, which can lead to food sensitivities, including gluten intolerance. Now that you've learned some of the effects that glyphosate has on our health and environment, you may be wondering, how can we avoid glyphosate exposure in our lives? Check out my next video for some practical tips on how we can reduce the exposure to glyphosate, especially in our food.